Hi, this is Majanoni, and here's my review for the only books that really matter this week. Just kidding. Spider-Man 699, All New X-Men 3, and Jonathan Hickman's Avengers #1. Now, let's do the Avengers #1 first. Now, I think Hickman is really setting this in a whole different tone, different direction, whole different everything compared to what Bendis gave us in the past. So if you didn't like Bendis, this is going to give you a whole new flavor of the Avengers. Everything is different. Now, since this is probably going to be considered one of the flagship titles, I was kind of disappointed about Jerome's artwork. Now, it's good, but it's not the type of art that I would want to see on a book that's supposed to generate tremendous amounts of sales. Like, for an example, when you see this picture of the Hulk, it's kind of like a joke, you know? And I'm like, why can't they just put somebody, like a super popular artist, right on the Avengers with Hickman, and this book will doubly sell insanely, you know? But they didn't do that, which is a shame. Other than that, though, even though I am going on harsh on his art, I think the art is good. I mean, it fits the story well. I think it adds a nice mature level to it. But to me, this almost has this, you know, it reminds me of reading X-Force, and you know, that's definitely a good thing. Now, overall, I think the story was kind of interesting. It sets it up in a way where, you know, it's like there's something big coming. Tony and Cap prepare. They go off into space. They get beat. Cap comes back, and he initiates the plan. You know, granted, that's a huge spoiler, but I don't think you can really... That's nothing groundbreaking in terms of what's going on. Now, this villain... We have an all-new villain, and I'm not sure what to think about him yet, or his cronies. We don't really get a lot of information from him other than he was able to terraform Mars, and he's trying to terraform Earth. They view the humans as like apes, so I'm wondering where this is going to go. I also think that the lineup for the Avengers for this run is going to be, it's really nothing what I would have expected. You have, like, you know, Captain Universe here. You know, you have Spider-Man, and is this Doc Ock Spidey, or is this the other Spider-Man? I don't know. You have Cannonball. I mean, and Falcon. I mean, granted, I understand they want to push Falcon, but these villains seem a little bit too big for the Falcon. So I'm not sure where that came from. But overall, I'm definitely excited for this. I enjoyed it, and I definitely do recommend picking this up because, you know, also if you look at it this way, if you have like the Justice League, you know, they have the X-Men, Fantastic Four, all those books. This seems more epic, and it seems more epic in such a way where you don't necessarily feel that they're trying too hard. I mean, in a sense, you can say, yeah, they're trying too hard. It's this big epic battle where, and I keep saying epic, I know, but, you know, it's this big villain. He's trying to destroy everything, and there's this, they keep saying big danger coming, and they're implying lots of heroes are going to be involved. And, yeah, I understand all of that, but it's the way they plotted this issue out. It's the way they initiated the plan, and that's what I think is some of the strengths to this book. It's, you know, this feels like the way Hickman wrote the Fantastic Four, where you're reading it, like maybe you didn't read Fantastic Four for years, and because it was crappy, and you go, you know, Hickman, I heard it, runs pretty good. And as you're reading it, you're going, this is really interesting, and I can sense something big is coming. And then you keep reading it, and you keep reading it, and you're like, wow, this is getting better and better. And then suddenly the big things start happening, and you're like, thank God I've been reading it. And that's what I feel get the feeling for this Avengers book. It just feels like something amazing is going to happen from it, and I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, all new X-Men #3. See, personally, I think MMN's art, this should be, in a sense, the flagship title, because he's really doing a fantastic job for this, and I'm really glad I'm picking this thing up, because Bendis is also doing a great job at writing the X-Men. I mean, I've always been a fan of Bendis. I don't think everything he writes is godly, and I don't take the Bendis Kool-Aid, but I think if you look at overall his entire body of work, outside of Marvel and in Marvel, I think overall it's really good, and he's doing a really good job with the X-Men so far. I think what he's doing is he's, in a sense, revitalizing the title like he did with the Avengers, because the X-Men were not doing well at all. It was pretty much a hit and miss. You might get some good, but a lot of it was bad, and now he's putting it back on track. So for that, we should all be happy. Now, what we have is, you have Cyclops is trying to gather his forces for the revolution that's to come. So he goes after Emma, and we learn that their powers aren't working quite the same any longer. Magneto's powers aren't working right. Cyclops' powers aren't working right. Magic is like, whew, I'm doing awesome. This is great. I've got more power than ever. And Emma's like, I can't read minds anymore. So this Phoenix Force, not only did it give life to mutants, but it also has altered mutants, which he did hint a little bit in that first issue with the Beast saying that he's going through yet another mutation. If for somehow that these guys could all communicate, I'm sure that little bit of information would help out Hank in the trying to figure out what to do with treating him. Now, we do get another new mutant at the end of this, and that character, for better or worse, what it is that's not the important part. The important part is the standoff, where the next issue is going to be the big one, because you're going to have Cyclops old meet Cyclops modern, and old wants, not the old, but the young Cyclops wants answers. And I think that's going to be the good issue to get. Other than that, I think this has been great. I can't really say... I think if I said anything more about this issue and how good it was, you guys are going to think that Bendis is giving me a check. But when you see the artwork, the optic blast, just everything that's going on here, which is great. And also there's a little bit of tension between the three central characters, Emma, Cyclops, and Magneto. Magneto's pissed at Cyclops because Magneto's powers don't work like they used to. Emma's pissed because, well, he tried to kill her and took away her power and then killed Xavier. So there's a lot of things that are going on here. Okay, Spider-Man. Now, I don't know how many times I've seen a comment, and not just on my channel, but in other locations, Slott ruined Spider-Man. It was Slott doesn't understand Peter. This is a horrible way of ending his legacy. And you know what? Well, even though I also thought that we're gearing towards that change, I still thought, this is what we're really looking at, is at a beginning, we're looking at something new, and not necessarily the ending, permanent ending. And I was right and wrong at the same time. Because while Peter is inside the body of Doc Ock, he's already working on the plan to get out. And he realizes that if Doc Ock can gain his memories, then he can gain Doc Ock's memories. And once he does that, then he figures out, hey, Doc Ock has a plan to get out of the raft, and he initiates the plan. Now, he does make a couple mistakes along the way, but I'm kind of curious to see where that's going to pay off at the end. And there's like an interesting dialogue between the Lizard and Doc Ock, because the Lizard thinks that Doc Ock is going to die soon, so he in a sense gives this confession to him. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen once this whole thing is resolved. And there's now, apparently from what Slott said, issue 700 is going to be the one where everybody freaks out. And I think there's some clues that we're going to have. I think there's a clue in the ad. And let me see here. And of course, there's probably no ad in this issue. Oh, and also that was really important here is when they're going through this issue, they tell you exactly everything that Doc Ock did to swap the bodies. And there's no ad. Okay, no big deal. I know where it is. At least I think I know where it is. Okay. What we have here is this. End of an era, no more power, no more responsibility, no more Spider-Man. Okay. We already know there's a Spider-Man. That's going to be unspectacular. So, what it almost sounds like is this key word right here, no more power. I have this strange feeling that Peter Parker is going to get back into his body, but he's not going to have his spider powers any longer. And that's where this is. The no more responsibility is obviously coming from the fact that he's no longer Spider-Man. You know, he doesn't have to have that sense of responsibility. And then the no more Spider-Man obviously is the kicker in saying that Peter's not going to be Spider-Man. So I think that's the key right there. Peter's going to be alive when this is all said and done. And I think I just have this feeling now that the Doc Ock is going to be that this is the red herring, and there's something else, something more sinister that's involved. And everything, a lot of the things that we were all or not all of us, but some of us were thinking were addressed right here. When Peter's going, like, oh my God, what's he doing? Is he committing crimes? Is he killing the Avengers? He knows all the codes. What's he doing with Mary Jane? What about Aunt May? All of this was right there on this page. And I was like, on one hand, I'm like, this was really, I mean, he hit it exactly where I was thinking, in that this opened the door to something amazing. And because he dealt this hand already, that's why I think now Doc Ock he's going bye-bye, and there's somebody else in the suit. Also, there was this little weird thing about Aunt May and Doc Ock, which it's best if you don't remember this panel exists. Overall, I can't say this enough. This was a fantastic issue, and if you aren't, I mean, if you really seriously dropped it, man, I think you're really missing out. And I think issue 700 is going to be something amazing, and at the same time, we're all going to be like, my God, Slott must die. There will be somebody out there on the internet is going to create a comic book called Dan Slott Must Die. That's how much the hate is, I think, there's going to be for what he did. But I can't wait for it. I still think that while Spider-Man sales are doing really well, I think that this is what we need. This is what Marvel needs to do to really shake things up. And I don't mean that in the sense of shake things up just to shake things up to increase sales. You know, because technically Marvel's going to be doing fine with Avengers and all new X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. They're going to be doing fine. But I think this is the issue. This is not the issue, but this is the character that is going to get people talking about comic books again, and it's going to create controversy, and more importantly, it's going to, when you remember when you went back at the DC relaunch, you walked into your comic book store, people were like, "Oh, this sucks. This is DC's money grab, blah 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 blah." And then there's other people who went into the comic book store for the first time, going, I haven't read comics for how many years, but this DC relaunch sounds interesting to me. I'm going to read it. And I think depending upon how Marvel handles this, this could be one of those situations where somebody who hasn't been reading Spider-Man because they didn't like the direction it was going will pick it up because they're like, hey, what's going on? I don't get it. I want to know more. And so I think regardless of what you guys think, I think this is going to be a good thing for the book. So I just hope that you guys just stay around, because I think when everything gets set back, that's when everybody will be happy. Anyways, this is my reviews for these 3 books. I'll have another review shortly. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about Avengers #1. Do you think it's living up to the hype that it's generating? And more importantly, who dropped this and still picked this up? Let me know, and I'll have more reviews later. And let me give you a code. Since you guys waited patiently long enough. X-Men 3. And I'll have more links on my Facebook account for these 2, and I'll have a Daredevil code in the Batman books. So, until next time.